What's going on, everyone? It's Kyle from the All-Star Nerds here, and today we are looking at the DC Studios. What is this? And it's the James Gunn announcement about the new DCEU slate. So the DCEU is out. No more DC Extended Universe. We are instead going into the DC Universe. I know, woo, what a change. DCEU versus DCU. At least there's a little bit of you're gonna know now which is which because they've kind of changed it a little bit. But so it looks like similar to how the MCU has phase 1, phase 2. I think we're either in phase 5, I think right now. I think that's the phase that we're on is phase 5. It's either we're on phase 4. It's either phase 4 or phase 5. But it looks like they're gonna do something similar at DC with chapter 1 being Gods and Monsters. At least that's what it kind of looks like by the title. I have not watched this. I actually just finished streaming the Bad Batch episode 6 watch party, so just quick thing there. If you have not seen our watch parties before, go ahead, head on over there. Every Wednesday night we'll be streaming watch parties for the Bad Batch. Next week's gonna be Bad Batch episode 7, and then obviously as more series comes out, once Superman and Lois starts going again, we're gonna be doing watch parties with that. We're going to be doing watch parties with Mandalorian season 3. It's going to be a whole thing. So definitely keep an eye out on that. And let's go ahead and let's get to watching. This is James Gunn's DC slate. It looks like 5 minutes, 59 seconds. Let's get cracking.
Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation.
Which this is true. The DC universe has been disconnected between the movies, television, animation, video games. Video games, I mean, there really hasn't been anything. I mean, you got Arkham Knight, obviously Injustice. Those are the two big games I can think of. They just feel like they're standalone games versus something that necessarily needs to be part of the what was the DCEU. But then obviously, television and movies, that's a whole other topic. I mean, you have the Arrowverse, CW, all that. Just, I get where he's coming from that, which, yes, it's true. The DC does need to be like Marvel in terms of getting their TV and movies up to par and connected. But animations, obviously, they have their whole own thing going on in the animation universe. I think right now it's the Tomorrowverse that's going on with the new reboot of Superman from the Man of Tomorrow animated movie, which very good, highly recommend. I don't know how that's going to fit in now because obviously with what he's saying, it could be labeled Elseworlds. Same with Superman and Lois, same with most of the Arrowverse continuity. But anyways,
that the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds.
Just realized. So before I started the video, because I know a lot of you guys are going to take what I just said and be like, oh, he's watched this before. I only watched to about 42 seconds. I was doing some audio tests, so I realized I kind of jumped the gun there on saying Elseworlds. But yeah.
Outside of the mainstream DCU continuity. Now, Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe. Then
that's probably the most important thing I think he's going to say so far, that he has said so far. The Flash is going to reset the DCU. It's going to turn the DCEU into the DCU. So we already knew the Flash was going to be some sort of Flashpoint paradox type movie. But this is official confirmation that this is going to be a complete reset of the universe. So potentially all new characters.
And to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now.
It sounds like the first movie following The Flash is going to be Blue Beetle, and then moving into Aquaman. So it sounds like Blue Beetle's safe. I don't believe we know who's playing Blue Beetle yet. Obviously, Jason Momoa is Aquaman, so it sounds like Jason Momoa is going to be set. Shazam, based off what he's saying, I believe it's Zachary Levi who plays him, so he's going to be safe. Obviously, I forget the kid who plays Billy Batson, but I know he's got to be safe. But this is what I'm most interested of, is the new slate. What hasn't been announced, what is not announced.
So, Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will
8 to 10 years
in film, television, and
okay.
game. This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now, this, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter.
Okay, so the entire first chapter is a span of 8 to 10 years. So this is only, I guess, a snippet of that. I mean, that's huge, because each Marvel phase is only a few years at a time. Whenever you think of the overall arc of Marvel, I mean, the first Iron Man movie was 2007. I mean, that entire first phase lasted up until, oh gosh. First phase I know lasted a bit, and that was the Infinity Saga, which was, I want to say, the first 3 phases of Marvel. So this is pretty significant in terms of the amount of time, years-wise, this is going to be. This is DC's version of phases, chapters, which, understandable, I mean, chapters, phases, same thing. I like what they're doing here. 8 to 10 years is going to be chapter 1.
The first project is Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation.
Hold up. Okay, did he say he wrote all the episodes already?
Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes.
So it sounds like James Gunn just put another project under his belt. It's going to be a lot different than Kevin Feige.
Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice.
Which, I mean, yes, this isn't necessarily true. It will be more of a unique DC thing if they do it. But spoiler alert, just a spoiler alert warning in case you have not seen Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, you do kind of see an animation to live action kind of transformation there. I believe both with Professor X, because I want to say there was an X-Men animated TV series, and I want to say that Professor X is kind of designed, if not inspired, from that. But you get to see Captain Carter from the What If series, so yes, kind of a unique DC thing, but also Marvel has done it, so there's that too.
Voice as who plays them in live action. The next project, they having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action.
Oh, I get it now. So whoever plays the voice of the character in animation is playing it live action. My fault.
The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis.
Suicide Squad.
Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. Okay. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it.
So, sounds like the Doom Patrol creators are actually going to get to do, at least one of them, or get to do something. Still sad to hear that their show got canceled, but hey, we'll get some more of John Cena's Peacemaker. Which I'm not mad about. I mean, he actually does a really good job as Peacemaker, so.
Okay, next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025.
So 2025, we're getting Superman Legacy.
Okay, the next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU. Next is...
Okay, so... the next one I have seen leaks on, but... This is big. This is what I think... I've seen some of these online. I've seen... The ones that I have seen are... We obviously knew a Superman film was coming. I've seen some things online about the Lantern, or not the Lantern, but the Authority, and I've been like, whoa, let's get off the internet. Didn't know this is out. Kind of threw that to the side while I was at work, but I maybe heard there was a Lantern show coming out, but it's like a space cop. This is what I'm most excited for right here so far. I mean, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, both of the Green Lanterns here. It looks like they're going with the version of Hal Jordan with the beard. Wow. Okay. I'm very excited for that. There's a lot of potential.
Mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU. Next is a big movie called The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is a story of Paradise Island.
Which, I gotta stop here again. I don't know a lot about the Authority, but it sounds interesting, and from what I have read, they're superheroes who stop at nothing, so... I don't want to say similar to the Justice League, but I'm pretty sure they don't hold back in terms of killing others, so they're different in that regard.
Usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants of Paradise Island. The introduction of the DCU's Batman...
That actually sounds pretty damn interesting right there. So, the way he described that Game of Thrones, but the island where Wonder Woman was born.
Is The Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run.
Robin's going to come back.
Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU. Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series.
So a guy who comes back in time to be a hero. So there's a lot of characters so far which aren't relatively like your most known characters. Still haven't heard anything about Wonder Woman, Aquaman, or like anyone in the Justice League, but I'm assuming this time in the DCU versus the DCEU, they're going to take years and years to build up to the first Justice League. So I feel like there's definitely going to be different threat that occurs versus what happens in the current iteration.
One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way, so she's a much more jaded character. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to...
So that's the version of Supergirl they're going to go for?
I'm going to talk about a very dark horror
Excited.
story in the origins of the monster
Swamp
who
Thing
is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories. Anyway, those are the stories that I can tell you about right now. I've loved the DC
Come
characters
on.
since I was a child. They're incredibly important to me. I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something very different. One of the things that's very important for me in all of these movies and TV series is that the director's vision and the vision of the writers and all of the creators is unique and something special.
Okay, so
Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us. And I want to be true to those stories. I want to be true to you guys and really give you something different than you've ever seen before. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you watching. I hope this was exciting for you because it's really exciting for me. And I can't wait to start to dive into these stories with you guys on this grand adventure. Thank you so much.
okay, so that's the slate. That's the slate that we're going with here. Wow. I'm pumped. I'm excited here. So I mean, we're getting this what? So what were we looking at for the order here? I gotta go back now. So the first thing, we're getting Creature Commandos. So from what I can tell, that the timeline of the DCU is going to be is it obviously it's going to start after Flash, but it's going to go Shazam, Flash. That's the reset point, you know, Paradox, and then it's going to go into Aquaman. What is
DC
it?
Studios will be in film about an 8 to 10 year plan of move into Blue Beetle of that resets into the Flash. So he connects very well. That moves directly into the Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love. That resets the entire.
Okay, so yeah, so it is. It's going to go from Shazam to the Flash, and then it sounds
DC
like
universe. Then to move into Blue Beetle.
Yeah, so then it's going to go into Blue Beetle and then the Aquaman.
A fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to.
So it sounds like this is going to be the timeline thus far for the DCU that we are going to know of right now, based off this announcement here. So it sounds like the timeline's basically going to go Shazam, then it's going to move into Flash, and then that's the reset point. This is now the beginning. This is the end of the DCEU. The Flash is the end of the DCEU, and then it's moving into the DCU. But then Shazam's still going to be considered part of the DCU because he likes that version of Shazam and he wants to keep it. So we already know every character just about in Shazam's going to be kept for the new DCU. But it's going to go Flash, which is the reset point. Then it's going to move into Blue Beetle. So Blue Beetle is the first character, maybe not seen in the new DCU, but from the Flash, because, you know, from the Flash's perspective, we might get to see characters in the DCU, but only from the ending of the Flash. So we got that there. Then we're going to move into Blue Beetle. We get to see Blue Beetle first. He's going to be like the first movie in the DCU. And then after that, it's going to go into Aquaman 2, which makes me kind of think that maybe Aquaman 1 is going to be part of the DCU in terms of continuity. Some things might be shifted here and there, but there's still that. And then after Aquaman, it looks like we're going to get the first project that they're announcing on the slate is going to be Creature Commandos, which is animated. And then following Creature Commandos is going to be, so we're going to get the Amanda Waller TV series. It's going to be live action. It's going to be Amanda Waller from Peacemaker. Don't shoot. But it looks like it's going to be Amanda Waller from Peacemaker. Potentially James Gunn's Suicide Squad is going to be part of the canon somewhat. Maybe. I don't know how Black Adam's going to fit into this. Is The Rock going to be Black Adam maybe in the future? Are they going to change actors? Like, obviously, we know what happens in the post-credits. Really liked Dr. Fate and everyone in there. The whole crew that they chose in was good. But so, after Creature Commandos, we got Waller. And I believe after Waller was Okay, so it's Waller, and then Superman Legacy. So this is what everyone's been kind of, I don't want to say upset about, but also they people have been really upset about this. Henry Cavill is obviously no longer going to be Superman. We don't know who's playing Superman. As far as we know, based off of rumors, leaks, everything, it's a brand new actor. It's not going to be Henry Cavill. It's not going to be Tyler Hoechlin. It's not going to be neither of the two Supermans who are currently or were in the past 5 years Superman. So that's where we're at. We don't know who's going to be playing Superman. And then after Superman is the Lanterns TV series, which I'm hyped for. They really got me hyped for this. They've been John Diggle in the CW. I wanted you to become a Green Lantern. I wanted to see him become Green Lantern. And I'm hoping they tease it maybe in a little bit in Superman and Lois Season 3. Maybe we get Superman and Lois continuing, marked as an Elseworlds property, which that would be cool, because Superman and Lois in and of itself, such a good series. Very good ratings. I hope they keep that on their Elseworlds property. But I'm excited to see Hal Jordan. Like I said, it looks like they're going for the one with the beard. Jon Stewart. Maybe the character who currently plays John Diggle will play Jon Stewart. Very good actor already chosen for him. But yeah, and then after that, that's what I was looking for. The Authority. So that honestly, out of all the films that he's announced so far, next to Superman and next to Batman film, really looking forward to see The Authority, because this is different. This slate is different from the DCEU in that it's not riding off of legacy characters, so to speak. You're not riding off of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, like all your top dollar characters right there. He's like with Guardians of the Galaxy and how group of heroes that not a lot of people knew about, he dove into and made it one of the more popular groups in the MCU. Not very well known in the comics world, but definitely a hell of a lot more known in the cinematic universe. So I'm excited to see what he does with The Authority. Very, very excited. And then Paradise Lost, I gotta say, next to Lanterns, this is probably my second most looked forward to live action TV series show. The way he described it as Game of Thrones, Westeros, but on Wonder Woman's home island. And it looks like is that men? Yeah, those are men. Men, women. So obviously we know it's a female island, but Paradise Lost, those Game of Thrones, but men versus women. Brave and the Bold, second most hyped movie right there. I mean, we're getting Robin again. Oh my god. That in and of itself is exciting. We haven't seen Robin since the 90s. And I believe it was George Clooney's movie that we saw him in. It's been a while. It's been since Batman and Robin that we've seen him. We're gonna get Damian again. And then Booster Gold, this is not someone that I've heard about. So I am curious about this one, because like I said, he's bringing in a lot of unknowns into this. So there's a lot of unknowns coming in that aren't necessarily known in the comic world, but might become cinematic. That might become more popular characters in the cinematic universe. So that one's curious to me, because he travels back in time, I believe he said, to become a hero. Like, he's not... It sounds like he's, like, kind of a loser in a way, but then travels back in time so he could become a hero and be loved, almost. That's kind of what I got out of that. Then after that... Oh, the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I am actually pretty hyped for that. Maybe a little bit more hyped than The Authority for that. So, her and The Authority, they've kind of got me tied at that number 3 ranking there in terms of what I'm most looking forward to, what I'm hyped for. This this is definitely interesting. Instead of like your normal easy trope of, oh, there goes Kal-El, he's off to the planet, and then right behind him, oh, there goes, there goes Kara. Oh, there she goes. Or, like when Crypto does it in DC Super Pets, there goes Kal-El, and then Crypto's launched right behind him. Not launched behind him, he gets in the pod with him. But regardless, they're not going to do the usual trope of Supergirl was launched right behind Superman. She's actually surviving on her own on a chunk of Krypton. So, gonna be that is definitely gonna be very interesting to see. I'm excited for that. And in the Swamp Thing film, he described as, was it not? It's not outside of the continuity, but it's not necessarily a part of like the main film, so to speak. So it's more like, I feel like Swamp Thing, to compare it to Marvel film wise, the Swamp Thing film is going to be more comparable to, let's say, Captain Marvel as a film, in that it doesn't follow the timeline necessarily. It's a film in the middle of the Infinity Saga that just kind of bounces back to the beginning, gives us her origin story and all that. So I think this is what he said, is it's like the origin story of Swamp Thing. So that's going to be interesting. And then that is the last project he announces for the slate. But out of everything here, so if we go back, obviously we have Creature Commandos and then Waller. If Superman Legacy, he said Superman Legacy was coming out in 2025. So with that being said, currently it is 2023. So that is 2 years. 2 years we can expect a Superman film. That's exciting. 2 years. And the animated series is already written, so we can expect that maybe probably within the next year, if not later this year, depending on how far they are. The Amanda Waller TV series, I would assume we would expect that before the Superman film. So maybe it's already kind of being written. He has a team on that, and it will kind of be ready to go. Hopefully, end of 2023, beginning of 2024, in terms of the filming maybe wrapping this end of the summer and then releasing towards the end of the year or beginning of next, which is a long time away considering it's February 1st as of this recording. So, very, very excited. This is... it's a lot better than the DCEU in terms of they have a plan. They have a plan. I mean, the DCEU didn't have a plan. It just kind of, it almost seemed like they did it however they wanted to do. They just, whatever order, they just kind of willy-nilly came out with films. So it's exciting to see that he's got a plan going into this. He has a plan. I'm going to say it again. He has a plan. Like, I'm hoping this is the beginning of a coherent DC universe that can finally somewhat compete to the MCU on some level with James Gunn at the helm here. It's got to compete. All respect due to the Snyderverse fans. This is going to compete more with Marvel than the Snyderverse. The Snyderverse hype, in my opinion, is similar to like when the internet wanted Morbius back and Sony said we brought it back because it did so good, and it flopped for a second time. That's what I feel like would happen to the Snyderverse if it came back again. Yes, you're going to get the high engagement HBO Max, but you're not going to see the competition with Marvel, not with what James Gunn is doing here. I mean, he's got a plan. He's ready to go. He's got a plan. He's shooting for it here. And it's going to be a coherent universe that can finally compete on some level, and I'm very excited for it. So, man, just Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. That's what this entire slate is. And this isn't even all of the movies and shows and everything that's being released. I mean, we could be getting video games in between this too. There's a lot packed into this 6-minute announcement video here, but already super exciting. Can't wait. there's so many so many words and thoughts and things going through my mind. It's gonna take me a moment to process everything. It might take a day, so it's a lot. But thank you guys for coming out and watching me break this, try to break this down with you, break this down in a timeline fashion here. Watch the announcement with me, see what James Gunn had to say. He waited, let's see, it is, February 1st as of the recording. He released it almost 17, 18 hours ago on January 31st after telling us in December, announcement coming next month of January. I'll be releasing the entire slate. He waited until January 31st. James Gunn, you're a troll. You waited until January 31st. People doubted it was even coming. I doubted if it was going to come. But you did it. You did it. Last minute. You stuck to your word, even though, January 31st. But thank you again for coming out, watching this, watching me break this down, go over the slate with you guys, and hear my thoughts and opinions on this and how I think this is going to turn out, the effects it might have on some of the current projects. The Arrowverse, gone. We already knew that. Superman and Lois has already kind of ditched the Arrowverse, so Superman and Lois still up in the air and whether or not it's going to be canceled and everything. Maybe, maybe not. Really hoping it doesn't. The Tomorrowverse, I believe, is just going to be labeled Elseworlds, and it'll go on as it will. All the other films and the animated universe will go on as Elseworlds property. But thank you guys for coming out, watching this, hearing my thoughts, opinions. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below, click the like button, click the bell to get notifications whenever we upload new content to the channel or when we go live. Currently, we're going live every Wednesday, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, for our Bad Batch watch parties. And then upcoming on March 1st is going to be the start of the Mandalorian watch party, so we'll be doing that every day the same week when that comes out. Discord's going to be in the description as well. Join us there, join the community, chat it up with us. Twitter, Twitch, any of our other social media links will be down below. We go live on Twitch, I want to say every other day. We've been kind of iffy in the past week, but we tend to go live every other day, and we're still trying to get content pushed out to you guys. But regardless, thank you for joining, and I will catch you guys later, hopefully with some more DC content here. But if not, is what it is. I'll see y'all later.